right, well. Welcome back, everybody. Season 4 is underway here at Speed Racing Network. I'm Greg Olenek, and as you can see, I'm joined by a new face here up in the Cup Series broadcast booth, Nick Halda, coming up from the Xfinity Series. Welcome, Nick. It's going to be a fun season getting it underway here tonight at Daytona.
Greg, thanks for having me. Really looking forward to it. Always start at Daytona. A lot of different things can happen. Drivers usually have a love-hate relationship with this track, so we'll see how it goes tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I was part of the duels last week, mix it up with a few of these guys, and it is white-knuckle racing around this 2.5-mile oval in these next-gen cars. I guess we're calling them 7th-gen cars now. These things are a handful, and it's just really tight racing the whole time around. I noticed that in both of the 30-lap duels, it was side-by-side the entire time. I expect a lot of the same here tonight with 80 laps under the lights, and it was a relatively clean race here last season. Only one caution for 3 laps. This thing was wrapped up in just over an hour and 7 minutes to be exact. 12 lead changes in that race was dominated by tank racing. Nick, do you think we're going to see a lot of the same here tonight? I know you come from one of those teams that tries to do this and lead this thing and just try to command this whole thing. I think we're going to see a lot of this teamwork here tonight.
Oh, this is one of the few racetracks where, they're strength in numbers. You could be the fastest guy. You can turn the fastest 5 laps, 10 laps, fastest qualifying. It doesn't matter. The 3 slowest guys in the field will team up and go by you like you're standing still. So they're strength in numbers, and with some 34 drivers linked to teams, they're going to be on their Discord chats talking to each other. When are we going to pit? How are we going to pit? And that leaves the other independent drivers out there playing the guessing game. So it's going to be interesting to see if a green flag stops can really change this race around a bunch, because it could, like you said, you could be too wide for 25 laps. All of a sudden, green flag pit stops happen, and the teams that get on and get off together can all of a sudden really separate themselves.
Yeah, so we'll see exactly what happens here tonight. It's going to be an exciting one because at these races, anybody can win. So last season's champion, just to recap, Timothy Latham, he'll be out there tonight, and Gear Up Motorsports, the team champions from last year, they're going to be looking to defend that championship here tonight. But like I mentioned, we were racing in the duels just last week, so those had some points on the line. Let's check those out real quick and see these guys that are getting a little bit of a jump on the rest of the field here. No surprise to see Reese Schaefer at the top as always, but we talked in the pre-race, we kind of debriefed a little bit, and it came to my attention the last 3 series defending champions here in the Cup Series are all a part of this Cup Series here this year. The limit on the I rating was lifted up to 5,500, so we're going to have some heavy hitters, a few other rule changes as well, a new team format we're going to get to in just a second. 2 cause caution is going to be a disqualification, so a lot to go over here, but this is a look at how it stands right now. Real important to get this jump here early on. These points can matter here at the end, Nick.
Absolutely, they can matter, and for some of these drivers, you're looking at this list, and I believe looking from the rosters from last year, 8 playoff drivers from last year scored points in the duels. So if you're a guy that was on the outside looking in, you got to be thinking to yourself, oh man, these guys have already jumped out on me here a little bit. They got to do everything they can to catch up this ground now, and not that these guys that were in the playoffs last year already go wire to wire here and jump out in front of everybody.
Yeah, so a few of these guys probably scored, they double dipped in both duels, and that's why we're not seeing this list full, because they handed out the top 10 got points, and you're only seeing 14 drivers there. So like I said, man, when I was in this race last week, it was just really hard to pass. You had to make that third line, which is really hard to commit to around here. So we're going to see some white knuckle action for sure. But with just under a minute before we get this race kicked off, we start getting these cars gridded up. I mentioned that new team championship format. I'm really excited about this personally because it's kind of my brainchild here. I kind of came up with the idea, and we're doing a new thing here with the team championship. Last season, you kind of built up points and you got your seeding based off of the highest amount of points. this year. It's kind of like a fantasy football matchup, we like to call it, and we're going to put these teams head-to-head each week. They're on a fixed schedule. They know who they're going up against each week. This is a look at the Week 1 matchups here in the Cup Series. Barr going to go up against JW Racing. They're making their debut here tonight in the Cup Series. Yellow Stripe Motorsports, another debut team here in the Cup Series, going up against the defending champ in Gear Up Motorsports. That is a tough draw. And then Phoenix Virtual Racing going up against Tank Racing, the defending, well, I almost said defending Cup champs. I think that's not the case. They went up against Gear Up Motorsports. And then Rat Pack going up against nobody, because we're only at 7 teams, so they're going to get awarded a win. I'm really excited about this, Nick.
A really cool way to kind of change it up each week, and really, got something, who you're racing against, one individual team, and like you said, kind of a different way to mix it up and score points each week and see who comes out of the top.
Absolutely. So these guys are getting ready to head on out there right now. I can see the cars gridding up. What are you most looking forward to here before we head out there on the track? It's just different type of racing that we're used to seeing out there.
It's completely different than what you're going to see at most racetracks. Like we said before, it's a love-hate relationship. Some drivers love it, some drivers hate it. Some drivers are going to want to be up front. You're going to see probably some guys drop back to the back, try to avoid the elephant in the room, the big one that can take out half the field and shuffle everything up. So we'll see who's comfortable up front, who's not, and see what happens from there.
Absolutely. So before we get out there, I gotta thank Butt Kicker, as always, for coming on board here this season. Check out all the products that they have to offer, because they have so much to offer, and they were very generous last year with coming on board and handing out a Butt Kicker to each of last season's hard chargers. So definitely check them out at buttkicker.com. They'll get you all set up. So go ahead and head out there on the track now. Let's take a look at that starting lineup. I know you're going to like this. Matthew Dula making his debut in that number 41 for JW Racing, a double debut there. He's going to start on the pole, so why not another debut driver, rookie here in SRN. Thomas Twomey going to be starting second. Row 2 going to consist of Seth Berger in another JW car there. Randy Nichols making his debut as well. A lot of new drivers up front. And then Justin Rideout, Dalton Tucker there in row number 3.
Really interesting to see some of these different drivers. Starting here, row number 1, got a Reese Schaefer tank. Let's see, Ryan Johnson will start on his inside, another JW Racing. So JW Racing with what's 4 of the top 7 drivers, and then Tank is kind of filling up the second half of the top 5 here. On the inside, Adrian Schumacher, in 10th, Joseph Causey, 11th, Brian McDonald, and 12th, a familiar name, Lucas Lyons, running as the independent. So 2 independent drivers making the top 10.
Yeah, so we talked about it pre-race, and your teammates, I know, are going to probably have a mission, and they're already really close to each other. But before they take this green flag here to kick off Season 4, who are you picking here for your first pick here and your debut in the broadcast booth?
Oh, man. Team orders were not to be pick a JW guy, so for anybody wondering why. But, Tank, all 5 Tank drivers scored points in the duels. They've got the guys up here. I think I'm going to go with Reese Schaefer.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take a newcomer here in the Cup Series, and I'm going to take Johan Seminario. Why not? To make his start here. The Silverback Tax Solutions green flag is underway here at Daytona. Let's take it in. Already seeing a few guys getting out of line there as we see them go through all 2.5 miles of this beautiful oval here in Daytona Beach, Florida, roaring back to the start-finish line to complete the first lap here in Season 4, led by Matthew Dula here, our pole sitter, side by side, all the way around this thing.
We're side by side, some 10, 12 rows deep, and then you see some guys starting to break out a little bit. It was interesting to see almost right from the start guys changing the top, bottom. There's obviously a lot of communication between teammates saying, hey, I'm making room, I'm making, come on down, come on up. And I thought we were going to see some guys drop back, but now that second pack is still kind of hanging back and almost catching up.
Yeah, you'll learn quickly here in the SRN, specifically the SRN broadcast booth. These guys like to make us look like fools, but that outside line losing a lot of steam here early on, and we saw it work this past week at Talladega. That outside lane was really ripping around that track. A lot of the same could be said if you use it well here. Starting to see it form up a little bit more now, led by the 40 of Justin Rideout, the team owner there at JW. He's gotten back behind the wheel after taking a season off last year, and he's up here in the Cup Series and trying to move his way to the front.
And you see those top three drivers on the outside there, really nose to tail, trying to keep up with 5 or 6 drivers are lined up a little bit better on the inside. But the outside line right now hanging on. Rideout could have dropped down there, but he's going to decide that JW is going to lead the front rows here.
Yeah, why not put your cars out in front? It's the safest spot to be, in my opinion, here. As we got an up-close look there from Seth Berger there, but this is the line on the outside on top of Randy Nichols' car here in the 42. He's got the 11 of Thomas Twomey just in front of him there. The yellow stripe motorsports car making its debut in that Toyota Camry. We're going to say that word here a lot tonight because a lot of new names and a lot of new faces out front.
And you got to think that right now, Randy Nichols is thinking, I need to stay right linked up with this number 11 because they're surrounded by 5 JW drivers right now. So if those guys make any moves, they're going to get pushed out. He's got to be thinking, I got to stay with this other non-JW guy up front for right now.
Justin Rideout gets a big shove out to the front, but opted not to come down in front of his teammate just yet. He's going to stay in command of that outside lane. And like I said, I think we might see a lot of tough passes here tonight, and you're going to have to make it 3 wide if you're going to want to get behind or by these guys. 2 teammates leading, and there he goes. Twomey goes to the outside in the 11. Rideout goes to block and stall his run there and puts the 11 out on an island. He is going to fall all the way to the back.
Like we said, the other guys are staying right in line, and that's a lonely spot to be outside there. 3 wide, nobody still going up to help him, and you see him falling back even further.
Yeah, he is going to be dropping like a rock here. Twomey starting up towards the front, all the way back in 13th. Now he's settled in behind that Toyota Camry of Emerson Ardon. So right beside his teammate there in the 12, Johan Seminario, making his debut. We're going to have to come up with a new word for that.
And what you just saw happen there with the number 11, that's a perfect example of the love-hate relationship drivers have with this track, because you can do everything you think right to move forward, and in most cases an object in motion stays in motion at most racetracks and you keep moving forward, but you can do everything right, and then if somebody's not helping you, your positive move becomes a real big negative real fast.
Yeah, it really takes a village here at Daytona because you got to have the faith of the drivers around you. You don't always have your teammates, so you got to have trust in all those guys around you. And as a rookie here, these guys don't know him very well, so nothing changing out front. These 2 still in command, the 41 and the 40 of Rideout and Dula. And then you got the teammate of Nichols there, so the top 3 quickly consisting of JW drivers. What will Rideout do here? He's just driving in the middle here early on. Seth Berger going to give a big shove to the 42 of Nichols here. No choice for him but to move on by Rideout.
So now you've got Rideout on the bottom, Nichols on the top, 3 JW cars on the bottom, and now let's see, it's Nichols who's a low man out front. Wow. He's going to drop down and say, you know what, it's safer to be with my teammates behind me than a guy that's going to try to push me 3 wide, so they're going to line up on the bottom. And now the outside row, there it is, that big run that we were talking about earlier.
Well, that's the thing, though. They had all of Tank Racing lined up there. They got 4 cars lined up, and you're right, they were going to go by him either way. He just conceded it, and they go right on by Tank Racing out in front, followed by Twomey. He's back up here in 5th now.
Tell you what, Tank Racing has started the season. They are obviously a little bitter of the WIT championship ended last year. because they came in, as I said, all 5 drivers scoring in the duels, and now these guys are all running out front here early.
Oh, yeah, they are going to be around, and they are going to be wanting that championship, not only for themselves individually, yet to grab one of those here in the Cup Series. They're going to want that team championship too. And I know that 17 wants that points win. I know he won the duel last week, but I know he wants a points win here at Daytona. So watch for that 17 to be very fast. You kind of stumped me there. You took my pick. We probably should have talked about that pre-race. That is a wise choice because he is going to be hungry here tonight.
And one thing to keep in mind, you see the 17 right there, right on the back of the 77, and every now and then he'll pop up about a half a lane higher. You can push for a while, but you're taking the air off the front of your car, and your car is going to heat up. So you can only push for so long, so hard for so long. So you either got to come off, back yourself off about a car length or so, or you've got to pop out if there's room to try to get air. So it'll be interesting to see how hard the pushers, the guy in the second line, the second row behind the leaders, want to push, and how long they're willing to push the guys in front of them.
Yeah, so this is the look out of Lane Hostler's cockpit. He was around for a while, made it to the final 5 drivers, so he is no stranger to being up towards the front, up 12 positions from where he started already in 18th, now in the top 5. He's got a big push from Alonzo King just behind him here in the number 80.
And that push couldn't have been timed any better. There's a little bit of an accordion check up there on the inside line just as he got that push. And you saw it doesn't take much to be able to shoot the guy right past that inside line.
And I'm in the Phoenix Virtual Racing Discord myself, and I saw Alonzo say today that he loves doing bump and runs. So you saw him all over the bumper here of the 61. And one thing I noticed last week in the duels with racing with these guys, really hard to break that bubble. These guys kind of have to work together. Lane Hostler kind of has to drag the brake a little bit out in the front, which is kind of a weird concept. But then that breaks the bubble so that he can get a good run in that 80 machine behind him and kind of push him all the way down that backstretch. You're going to see it right here.
Yeah, and kind of what you mean by that invisible bubble is it almost is like this invisible force field. You'll get to a point right behind the car, and then you just kind of stall out unless you get a real nice run. He did a great job there.
Oh, yeah.
Standing a little high and getting a great run off to be able to pop that bubble and get right to the bumper of that car right in front of him.
Yeah, they got a good run there, but they're really hooked up well there on the inside, so making it hard for them to make any ground up on these guys out of tank racing.
And for looking at those drivers in the back, you see the drivers up front kind of holding their line. You're able to run the same line, and you see kind of towards the back a little bit more swerving. That's not necessarily those drivers can't hold their line, but think of super speedway racing like a roller coaster. That when you ride in the back seat, you get kind of that little bit more of a violent, faster ride, and that's what happens. Those guys, 10, 12 cars back are actually driving at higher speeds than the guys leading. There's a big move to the outside.
Yeah, I don't know who that was. I believe it's the 55 of Jordan Sailors, or no, the 64. I think that was Scott Healy, who I mixed it up with last week, and he is going to be making his way aggressively up towards the front. Like I said, defending champion Scott Healy there from season, we talked about this before, 1, I believe. He was, in that 64. So he's going to be looking to make his way up towards the front for his debut team there, Yellow Stripe Motorsports. So that was where that little shakeup was, but man, they got that quickly sorted out.
Yeah, these cars, like you said, they are a handful, especially coming off the corners. I jumped into a couple of the JW team practices and helped out a little bit, and they are definitely a beast to handle. You got to be careful checking up in the corners. You really don't want to be pushing too hard into the tri-oval. You will send the guy in front of you right around.
Yeah, so you kind of saw that pack kind of breaking away a little bit behind them. That's being led by Byron McDonald there in the 8 out of Bobby Anderson Racing. He's followed by Robert Beesaw, Scott Kalal, Brandon Domain. So talked to Brandon beforehand, and he said he was kind of going to break away from the pack and just let's happen, whatever happens, happen. But Byron McDonald well off the pace. Looks like something's happening here.
Yeah, we've got a big checkup, and caution is out. So I think we had something happened in the front. We've got caught. It looks like
Jordan Sailors is involved.
Their Sailors is involved.
Blair Holloman, I believe, took a tow. Twomey. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong.
Nope. And there was our leader for 11, right?
Well, the leader at the time was Seth Berger.
Berger.
Yeah. So let's check out what happened here on this replay. It's going to be from Jordan Saylor's perspective.
There it is, look like coming out of the tri-oval.
So Rideout was involved there. Looks like him and the 11, Tuomi. Oh, yeah, so he was up towards the front when this happened. So let's take a look from his perspective here. He's got kind of back it up a little bit at the same time.
Oh, it looks like that's the yellow and black car there. Couldn't get a number. The 42 and the 11 look like they may have came together here in the middle of the tri-oval.
Yeah, so the 11 a little bit up there. They're kind of side drafting a little bit, and they might have made contact. Gonna have to take a closer look to see if that was a net code there, but gets up into the 42. Then the 40 gets into his rear quarter panel, finishes him off there, sends him right up into the 41. Our pole sitter here tonight. So some big names out early with some damage, but these cars can take a lot here. Let's go ahead and kind of cue that up one more time. Get a little closer look.
Really, where that wreck happened in the field and coming out of the trial there, it's surprising more cars actually aren't involved.
So a little bit of netcode happened there that got them all crossed up, and then nowhere for Rideout to go. It's just when they lose speed that quickly, you're kind of left on an island there. But I think all the guys involved in this should be fine. Some light damage that can get fixed here. So it looks like everybody going to take this chance to come down pit road, led by the 77 of Seth Berger. So we'll sit here, watch pit stops, and see who comes off first.
And it does look like we are getting tires on. It's going to be fuel only for some. Right sides are going up on some of these cars, so at least some right sides being taken. Looks like there are going to be some 4 tire stops as well.
So early on, a caution. Only had one last season, but already under our first caution on lap number 15. Alonzo King opted not to pit. I think he came through the pits, but drove through it and comes out in front. So we'll see if he opts to come down pit lane. But while he makes that decision, we're going to step aside real quick, run our first commercial break here of Season 4. Don't go anywhere.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today. Maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacktx.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
All right, so pace car lights are off. We're going to get this thing kicked back off. Early thoughts here as we get this thing get ready to go back to green.
Oh, iRacing's version of Dirty Air netcode kind of peaked out, and that's another thing we didn't really talk about too much on the pre-race coming up here. But with all these cars running so close, the system tries to predict where cars are going to be, and sometimes it you know, you hear it on Sundays all the time. Dirty Air, my car did something I wasn't expecting it to do. So that's kind of what netcode is. The simulator did something you weren't expecting it to do, and we saw it peak out. And right now, Seth Berger way out in front. What a restart!
He got a huge jump, and they get quickly in a line, leaving Dalton Tucker and Justin Rideout out there on the outside lane. They're also going to have Adrian Schumacher there not too far off. That's another Tank Racing driver there. He's in that team stable as well. Very dangerous for the rest of this field for these guys to be getting this hooked up early on. But wanted to mention too, as we went back to green, another rule, like I said, that these guys are going to have to deal with this year, using the restart zone. That's going to be a difficult, it's not, I shouldn't say difficult, a weird change to get used to here.
Absolutely. See the little Geico box there in the start of the trial. That's where they actually have to start from. But last year's rule, once the pace car, all 4 tires were off, the leader could go whenever they wanted, and that left for a huge window. And of course, you stack up the field, guys trying to guess. Now it's a small start window, but the simulator forces everybody to maintain the speed and really keep everybody close together on these restarts.
So here's the onboard from Aaron Gerwitz. You can see he's just kind of riding this thing out half throttle here, not even really getting on the bumper here, and that's another thing to kind of touch on. You don't want to be really riding up on the bumper here because you see those checkups happen very quickly, and the accordion effect can end to some of these guys' nights, so you got to be careful with that too. It's just it's a mental chess match, restrictor plate racing, well, super speedway racing. I got to get that out of my head as well, the whole restrictor plate racing thing. Now that's tossed out, but yeah, it's a really mental chess match.
You get constantly wondering, where should I be? You're constantly second guessing yourself. If you're running up front, do I really want to be here? If you're running in the back, do I want to be up front? Some drivers just want to be up front the entire time, and they're comfortable. And then with the team, you might have 3 guys that want to run up front, 2 guys that aren't comfortable, and all of a sudden, but you got to stick with your team.
Dalton Tucker going to get a good run here. We'll see how he uses it. He's just going to get right in line behind these Tank Racing drivers, and why not? I mean, they are just really linked up together, and that just goes to show how much these guys are practicing here to pull that off. Not an easy thing to be able to pull off the speed that they are doing right now, but starting to see your guys form up a little bit. You got 2 of your teammates out of JW Racing teamed up out there, the 40 of Rideout and the 43 of Ryan Johnson. Man, he dominated the Truck Series last year, has moved his way all the way up to the Cup Series, battling with the best. I personally am very excited to see how Ryan does here among the best.
Oh, I think he's going to easily be able to hold his own. He's a fantastic driver. I learned a whole bunch from him last year. I myself only been on the sim for about a year and a half now. But seeing Rideout pulling up that outside lane, that goes back to what you were talking about earlier. We saw Rideout was involved in that wreck with a little bit of damaged front nose. Obviously, he was able to fix that. He's trying to pull that outside line up here along these guys up front. They're just really rolling right now.
Yeah, and you got the 33 of Devin Zimmerman trying to make his way up there to team up with his Tank Racing guys, but some momentum for that 40 right there with the 43 behind them. I have a feeling they're going to get it figured out. They got Scott Healy teamed up behind them as well. That's 3 really fast cars, and then we're going to get a few of these other guys up here as well. So I think we're going to have a side-by-side battle for the lead here. It's going to take a couple laps with the lead that Seth Berger's got out there right now in that 77, but I think these guys are going to get it done with that even shorter outside lane.
Eventually, they'll end up pulling up as you see more guys are kind of adding to that outside line. Surprised to see, there's a little, and that's what we talked about before. Really got to be careful in the trial. Well, these Cup cars get real light in the back end. They get real loose coming off the corners. You got to be real careful with your pushes.
It is an absolute Toyota train on that inside lane. I'm surprised to see Dalton Tucker not pulling up to the outside lane to get in front of Rideout there, since he's not really affiliated with Tank Racing here, but opting to stay in line in that inside lane. So the outside lane kind of losing some steam. They just lost, I believe, the 94 went to the inside. I believe I saw somebody pull down to the inside. So that's just one less driver to help them out there.
Yeah, in the last lap, I've seen at least 2 or 3 drivers. You drive down this apron saying, you know what, this is getting a little bit too racy for me right now. You got to, finish the race to win the race. I'm wondering if there is any damage to the front of Rideout, because when he was leading the line there, they kind of stalled out a little bit. But now that he's pushing, that outside lane seems to be getting a little bit more momentum. He may be more of a pusher than a leader the rest of the night.
This is one of our best looks at it. The hood looks good. I'm not seeing really any crinkles anywhere, so
he got out pretty lucky. Yeah, he got out pretty lucky, it seems.
Yeah, I think I took a bigger hit than he did. These cars really hold up, which is something that you've seen in real life as well. I know these cars have taken a lot of flack, rightfully slow, but a lot can be said for how durable they are. You can really keep a race going, which is something we weren't familiar with seeing in the Gen 6 cars. Once you really made any contact, those cars were done. So I like that change as far as the Gen 7 cars go.
Something else we didn't really touch on is the fuel, and how did that early caution maybe change the fuel strategy, and when is the next pit window going to open up? Some of these guys seem to be running really, really hard, and like you said, another quarter of the field seem to be content running about 3/4 throttle, staying just close enough to this pack that they still have the draft, but they seem quite content to lay back here a little bit. And outside lane just seems to stall. Right there, they cannot get more than 4 cars back from the leader. They are trying, they are pushing. And you can see that 88 Akazi out there trying to get some air on his car so he can get back there and push his teammate.
Yeah, so just over a quarter of the way done here. I'm trying to do the math in my head while you were talking there to see what the pit strategy is going to be. And it's going to be close on one stop. I think that they might be able to pull it off. I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting because that's one of the benefits, as you see Schaefer blinking a lot right there.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's going in and out. And that's never fun when you're the guy behind the blinker, because you don't know where they're at, where they're. Fortunately, it's a teammate, so they can talk to each other and say, "Hey, you're blinking. Where you at?" But yeah, that'll definitely slow things up. Now you see him kind of dropping down, kind of getting out of the way to clear the field, so that doesn't cause an issue. And there's Rideout trying to, I believe, side draft there, trying to pull that line. But these front three, it's kind of impressive. These front three are really able to break away and leave everybody else, now 4 cars breaking away and leaving everybody else kind of side by side.
Yeah, I think that outside lane needs to focus less on trying to side draft and just getting used to running with each other, and the rest will come. But it's just, it's going to be really hard to make anything happen here. But the admin's not going to get you so much leniency here when we're at super speedways with the blinking. So they quickly got on Reese Schaefer to have him pull out a line there, especially being up towards the front. So going to get that connection sorted out, and that's something I'm not familiar with seeing with Reese, so maybe it's just a rare instance of him having some issues right now. So not going to leave his Tank Racing teammates hanging dry. There's still 4 of them, 5 of them actually, all linked up there on the inside lane. Seth Berger, Joseph Causey, Emerson Ardon, Devin Zimmerman, as well as Adrian Schumacher, an Xfinity Series champion. So a lot of champions in this race. That just goes to show this I-rating cap being lifted up to 5,500, really, really bringing in some talent here.
Absolutely, and it's almost like I'm wondering if the 33 of Zimmerman there, he was playing back off of his teammate, and it was almost like he was side drafting, just trying to drag back that outside line and not allow them to get that momentum that they're finally seeming able to build speed here. Now we're going to see them move to the front and get side by side.
Yeah, so checking out the points, like we said, some of these guys made up some points here in the duels last week, giving them a little bit of an advantage. So there you see Schaefer and Tucker out at the top. Tucker leading that outside lane up towards the front here with a big push from Rideout. All these guys that are on this list are up towards the front. Kind of crazy.
And I'm just, I guess I shouldn't be, but some of these big pushes early as he drops down out of the way, that's going to put Rideout now back up front. But some of these big pushes early, really pushing these guys out front, really pushing hard.
Yeah, and that's going to take the control away from Tank Racing. Oh, wow, as somebody got shifted out there. I believe that's Marty Phillips. Yeah, Marty Phillips, I believe that was, got shuffled out. Going to take a little while to get used to all these new cars here.
That's always fun. New cars, new numbers, new season, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get it all. Actually, it might have been right in front of him. Oh, it's 55 of
55.
Jordan Sailors.
And he's going to go up to the outside wall, collect Ryan Johnson. We've got cars going in the pits to avoid wrecks.
No caution.
No caution as everybody kind of swept down off the racing surface and kept going forward. So iRacing did not throw a caution, and the SRN series, the admins do not throw cautions. It's left up to iRacing, and you could see that second pack there kind of come through, and that's why they were kind of hanging back to be able to avoid stuff like that. And now we have two distinct packs.
Yeah, let's check that out one more time to see exactly what happened. We're going to watch that from the blimp cam here. So getting a push here from the 45, it looks like. That's
So
Ed Shearer. Yeah, just not
Yeah,
really good contact there between the 45 and the 55.
Yeah, it looked like the 55 clipped the apron there about 3/4 of the way coming out of 4, and then tried to gather it back up, lost speed, lost momentum, and then 45 ended up underneath him. But you can see the 55 there. He hit the apron, came down, then came across the nose. Kind of a tough situation, because if you're the 45 and you see that 55 slowing up, you can only check up but so much, or you're going to get ran over yourself.
Yeah, and that all leads back to that little dust-up that we saw that I was trying to track down beforehand. That just checks up the field, gets them all bunched up and out of whack, and that just gets all the guys out of line, and that's all it takes is one little dust-up like that. And 3 or 4 guys with some heavy damage here, and that breaks up the whole field here. I mean, we only have the top 10, top 11 here in this lead pack.
Yeah, top 11 in the lead pack, and your second pack is now 9 seconds back from these guys. So they either got to get lined up, try to figure out what's going on. They are in a pickle right now, and they are scrambling, trying to think about what they can do to make up this 9 seconds. Because as long as these top 10 cars stay like they are, nose to tail, it's going to be hard to catch them.
Yeah, and it's about even-sized packs, too, led by Lane Hostler. Well, actually, that one's coming together quite well. A little bit bigger than the lead pack. My timing was a little bit off there. But they can get it together, but I think the main mission for them now is to just not lose each other, not lose a lap. Something's going to happen here, even though 2 packs are broken up. We're going to probably get another caution, I would imagine, even though last year's Daytona race only had 1.
If you're the guys up front, I mean, you've got 5 teammates making up half of that front pack. They're going to stay nose to tail, and they're going to push, and then these other guys got to try to figure out what in the world they're going to do, or they're just going to stay in line for right now, ride it out, see if there's going to be another pit strategy or another yellow flag to punch up this field.
I'll tell you what, the nerve-wracking thing about these cars as well is it's really easy to lose the draft. I believe that's Scott Healy that just dropped back there to the back of this pack. It doesn't take more than a half a second or 0.6 seconds off of that car in front of you, and you can really start to put the air on the nose and lose this pack. You got to be really careful not to fall back too far. Absolutely.
And, he was getting a lot of heat from Berger and Causey. Maybe he's thinking, instead of getting pushed out of the way, maybe smarter for me. As long as he stays with this top pack, he's still very much in the hunt. And instead of getting, kind of jostled around, maybe wasn't comfortable with Berger or Causey pushing as hard as they were behind him. As long as I'm here in the back of this, as long as it's still a part of this lead pack, I'm still in this thing.
Yeah, so the lead pack consisting of the top 10. Lane Hostler leading that second pack, and it is a big pack all the way back to 31st, so 20 cars in that second pack, and they're slowly making up ground, but not quick enough here.
The last check there on the scoring tower, I think they were about 8 seconds back, so they are gaining, about a second a lap. It appears we'll keep that eye on that, because this front pack now is starting to they're kind of breaking up here, going too wide a little bit, as we've got 2 cars the outside trying to work their way forward. That's just going to help that second pack.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can pull it up here and see just how much that second pack is gaining, because it's a little bit, but a little bit goes a long way over the course of time here. So that's the 2 leaders, and yeah, the lead pack just really proving me wrong here. We'll see this time.
Well, we can see that, lap 33, like I mentioned, they were at 8 seconds, now they're 9 seconds, and they are still losing time on average here to this front pack.
Going across the stripe right now, and wow, they lost a lot of time that last lap. So yeah, they're going to be hoping for a caution. Still a little racy up here, though. I believe that's Dalton Tucker there on the outside, being followed by Scott Healy. So these two trying to get up to the front, because they know what's at risk here with all these tank guys getting out early. We'll see if Justin Rideout and Ryan Johnson opt to do the same and make this a side-by-side battle here up between the top 10.
Goes to show you how you were talking about that top line. It really seems to be coming in as almost a preferred line. It's impressive to see 2 cars being able to move their way up here, and Healy is not pushing all that hard. There's a gap there between him and the 83. It's not like he's on that bumper just giving them everything he's got. They're able to not only keep up with that bottom line, but they seem to slowly be working their way up here.
Yeah, oddly enough, nobody really leaning on each other. All kind of giving each other space, except for those top 3 cars of Berger, Causey, and Ardon. And Causey really giving the shoves to the 77. He is proven to be a great pusher so far for his team here tonight. Won a lot of races last year in the Cup Series. I expect him to do a lot of the same here this season. One of the best guys here in the league. Looking forward to hopefully getting him up here in the SRN broadcast booth. So pushing his teammate like one of the best out there so far. And then Emerson Ardon closely following there in 3rd. Zimmerman 4th. And Adrian Schumacher going to round out our top 5. Coming up on the halfway point of this one.
And you really took my last thought right out with Causey. He is very impressive pushing Berger around this track. He has definitely been one of the stronger pushers, and it's a great feeling when you have a teammate behind you, one that can push real hard. And of note, see Ardon back there, he's not pushing Causey. That's one of the last things you want to do is push the pusher. He's just going to hang back, let Berger keep just shoving, or let Causey just keep shoving Berger out there. And it is really impressive to see, even going into the corner there, he gave a little shove. You can tell these guys have really been putting in the work at practice, really trust each other, because they are pushing hard.
So 38 cars in the field here. Most of them still running. 35 still out there on the track. Multiple champions in this field here, all led by the 77 there with the pink. You see a lot of pink out there representing Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But the one out front, the 77, as he crosses the stripe to take halfway here at Daytona. It's go time for these guys. You see that second pack coming on. That's the distance separating these guys.
And they're just really stalled out there at that 10-second gap. But I tell you what, I'm starting to be worried if I'm the 23 or the 64. They've dropped off of that pack. They got a little side-by-side, got a little squirrely, and now they're falling back. Yep. They've lost the draft of that front pack. They're going to end up falling all the way back now to that second pack.
It's very easy to do in these cars, so that makes it an 8-car field now in that lead pack. So, yeah, it's just going to add even more race cars to that second pack, too, which is why I still feel like we're going to see this thing get racy here as we especially get closer to that maybe last pit stop of this race coming back to the stripe, and that is a helpless feeling when you lose the party.
That is such a bad feeling when you just see those guys. You even see that they're too wide, but yet they're just getting smaller and smaller out your windshield, and then that large pack behind you is getting bigger and bigger. And when that pack catches you, they're going to have momentum. It's not like you're just going to link up to the front of that pack and you're just going to stay in your spot. You now run the risk of those some 15 cars just trucking around you, and you're going to go from being 11th, 12th here all the way to the back of the second pack, and then build momentum and try to get back through. It'll be interesting to see when they fall back to that pack where they shuffle back in line.
Yeah, so this is the lead car here. Timothy Latham, the defending Cup Series champion, leading the way in that second pack. So you can see the two the two cars of Scott Kalal and Scott Healy getting bigger and bigger in the rear, or excuse me, the windshield of Timothy Latham here. So they're going to be joining that party here soon. So like it feels like they lost one, they're going to be gaining a whole new bunch of friends here before too long.
But it just goes to show the draft. I mean, when we started talking about the 23 and 64 breaking out that first pack, they were just a second and a half off. Now they're some 3-4 seconds back. These guys in the second pack doing what they need to do. They just need to stay in line and not get too racy. And that's their only hope.
Yeah, and it's just, like I said, a lot of these guys are kind of driving a little bit far off of each other. You see it's really split up. I know they don't want to push right now because they're kind of just trying to coast the end, but if they really got closer to each other, you see the 20 a little bit off of B-Saw there and the 28. If those guys really close this up, they could maybe make up some ground. You're exactly right, though. It's really just evened out, not making up any ground and not losing it at the same time.
Well, because like you mentioned, you basically have a 6-car lead pack. You basically have a 6-car pack here, and then that big gap back to that black and green car there. I can't catch the number.
That's the 20 of Brandon Domain.
Yep. Yeah, where Brandon, if he can close up and bring everybody up with him, then we'll start seeing them make up time. But right now, it for all intents and purposes,
pit stops.
It's 6 cars. And here we go. That we were wondering about it. So there is going to be green flag pit stops. And this is going to be interesting to see. Does that second pack try to come in now? Are they going to go around and try to come in and make up time? Because
they all need to be working together, that's for sure. But we wanted to talk about this too. You saw the 82 slide in there. Adrian Schumacher sliding into his stall. Really easy to speed here on this pit road and kind of overshoot your stall. They're bigger stalls than we're used to, but it's a faster pit road too, and the brakes not the biggest thing on the cars here at Daytona.
And obviously it's a big fuel window, or a lot of fuel, because I did see some tires go on. So it's not just going to be a splash and go to top this off to get to the end. They need to put in enough fuel that they're at least taking tires. And when you have those 6 cars break off and only 6 cars go into pit lane, it's a lot easier than all of a sudden you see these guys come in by themselves. And and have one other, some other drivers are pulling in, because that could have been real lonely for Brandon if he would have pulled into the pits by himself and not had any drafting partners coming out of the pits.
Yeah, so Scott Kalal, Randy Nichols, Lucas Lyons, Matt Zula, Scott Healy, Alonzo King, Robert Beasall, Brandon Domain, Aaron Gerwitz, Joseph DuPont, all coming down pit road that time. Michael Plaitis also coming down right now. So a few drivers left. The top 13 yet to make this potential final pit stop of the night. This is when things will get interesting. I think we're going to see even more packs get broken up, and that desperation level start to really step up as we see this pack now come down. Will everybody come down? Doesn't look like it. Jordan Saylor's staying out there all by himself.
It's saying that's a lonely feeling, but you see that's what that second pack decided to do. They said they stayed out on the track to try to make up some of that time, and they're going to have to come in together, leave together. They were hoping to stay out on the track and make up at least some of that 9-10 second deficit, rolling around and then regroup. Like I said before, this is a frustrating track. You can do everything right as a driver. You could be the fastest one into the pits, the fastest one out, but if you come out by yourself, you might as well have come out of the back of the pack, because when they all link up in drafts, they're going to catch you and go by you. So this race is now going to become what group got on and off together, and we're going to see here once the 5 comes back on the track, what is his time? Were they able to gain? Did they lose any time? But right now, the front pack that pitted first, they're out running or leading the way.
Yeah, so right now Latham already 6 seconds back and dropping, and they are moving full steam ahead out front. That's something that they practiced very often, but they did lose some of that lead pack. Dalton Tucker coming out with them. Ryan Johnson also linked up with these top pack cars here. Devin Zimmerman there in 6th place. Looking like Adrian Schumacher is coming down pit road, and not even seeing him. There he is.
There he is. And those, Causey, Berger, all those teammates, they were talking to each other, okay, we're going to pit this time. And, sometimes you'll give a warning, but when there's only 6 cars like that, those guys could have dropped off without really giving much warning, and were those other drivers ready to pit with them. They tried to maybe leave those other guys out to dry. Maybe they were able to get on and off a little bit smoother, and that's the difference that you're seeing. Those guys knew they were pitting, and that delay or that hesitation it caused with the rest of the pack caused a couple of these guys to lose this front pack.
Yeah, so I'm wondering when the momentum will start to change. Only 6 cars, really 5, because Zimmerman now falling victim to losing the draft. He is going to lose touch with these top 5 drivers. What's going to happen when Ryan Johnson potentially falls to the same fate? I mean, eventually, all these guys got to fall back, right? Because that is a big group of cars from 7th on back, and they didn't really lose too much time. Yeah, maybe about a half a second, but really good when you all consider how difficult it is here to pit at Daytona.
Yeah, but they didn't gain any either, so it's a net, and really it's an advantage to these top 6 cars now. I see some 11 seconds, and if you're Johnson, you're thinking of you've got 4, I believe you got 4 teammates, 4 rivals in front of them, and you're in a dangerous position, because if you get a run here and you go to take it, you're probably not going to really advance. So he's just kind of stuck having to ride it out here and see kind of what develops in front of him.
So checking in on that second pack, led by the defending champion, one of which it's kind of funny to mention. You see a little bit of a different light on the back of this car. Somehow Timothy Latham, I guess, when you're crowned a champion here in the SRN Cup Series, they give you a Dodge Charger. He's out there in a Dodge right now.
That's kind of, you get special treatment when you're the champ,
yeah.
Winning a lot of things.
Yeah, we like to call that the teacher's pet sometimes, Nah,
absolutely.
He's always creative, man, and good-looking cards. And, hey, we want Dodge back, right?
Absolutely. But you can see that, and like we talked about, that second group was a much larger group, and that caused a little bit of a traffic jam, and some guys were able to get through it, get on and off. You got 3 cars here 12 seconds back. 3 or 4 cars 14 seconds back, then another group 16 seconds back. So you can see how a big group pitting together kind of got off and back onto the track a little choppy, and now we only have 3 cars trying to catch that lead pack of 5.
I'm seeing Norfleet taking a crash here, and he is parking the car. So Gear Up Motorsports taking a hit there early on. One of their drivers is down and has some damage on pit road, but that 3-car pack now growing to 5, as we saw Devin Zimmerman lose touch with those leaders and now settles in with this second pack here. But yeah, just starts to separate a little bit more by more, and you start to see more of that tandem drafting almost. You see back here Sean Jensick, Byron McDonald, Scott Healy in a 3-car pack going around this thing. And just behind them, it's about an 8-car pack here, led by Aaron Gurwitz. A lot of Phoenix Virtual Racing cars right here.
And you start, losing options. You had a chance to maybe gain some time there on pit road, kind of came out all together. You're that second pack. You're not watching. You're seeing that your time differential isn't dropping, isn't really changing. The only thing that's changing is those laps just taking away.
So the 9 of Aaron Gurwitz, while it looks like he's very far back, currently running 13th. Not too shabby here, considering he started the night in 34th position, up 21 already. So he's going to be hoping, as we start to see these laps tick off one by one, he's going to be hoping for some help here from the flag man. Because look, now the roles are reversed. Seth Berger giving the big old shove to that 88 of Joseph Causey. These two could run with 2-car tandem, I think, and maybe still outrun this field with how well these two work together.
And that's a scary sight for the rest of the field, because when you have a team, just like any even a stick and ball sport, different members of that team can have different strengths, right? So maybe when we thought Causey might have been the best pusher, and that's why he was leading the way, you see right now Berger's just as strong, so it doesn't matter for them who's in the front. They can push each other really hard, and that's a scary sight when you have team members that are showing early on to be able to do different things to help this team out.
So we're going to go ahead, step aside real quick, run a quick commercial break side by side. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a great finish here to kick off Season 4 for the Daytona 200.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacttax.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today, and maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
All right, we got to go ahead take out something real quick because right as we went to pit road, we saw some cautions happen and a little bit of a developing story here. Those leaders lost somebody.
We mentioned in the pre-race strength in numbers. So here the tank guys go dumping off, and you can see at the last second, Ryan Johnson was able to recognize it and pit with these guys, whereas the fifth car in line there, he did not recognize that those tank guys were dropping down. It's kind of an interesting strategy. Obviously, they didn't feel like they could make it the rest of the way. I'm wondering if they were thinking, hey, we've got such a big lead. We've got these two guys behind us. They don't know we're pinning. Maybe we can dump off here and lose two of these guys. And they were able to at least, halfway successful and lose one of those guys. That's a lonely feeling to see everybody duck off, and then all of a sudden, I'm by myself.
Oh, yeah. And you don't want to wreck anybody, so it's hard to just dart down there if you're not planning on it. You kind of got to set up. Like I keep saying, it's a mental chess match here at Daytona. You got to hit everything perfectly. And this is one of, if not the hardest, pit road entry for that fact. I mean, you are coming down here at 180 miles an hour, 190 realistically in the draft, and then you got to slow this thing all the way down to 60, 65 miles an hour, and it's not an easy thing to do.
And they surprised the other two, because when Johnson went into the pits there, he was hard on the brakes, and he kept the car straight. He didn't immediately jump off the racetrack because he was so hard on the brakes. If he tried to come off the racetrack at the same time, he would end up losing it. So fortunately for him, he was able to slow down in time of that pit cone. But that now is interesting to see, how long can this second pack run out? Do they feel that their bet is made and they need to run their fuel to empty and hope for a caution to bunch everybody up? Because based on the leaders' moves there, these guys were not going to make it to the end, or weren't planning on making it to the end. Was this second pack losing time because they were saving fuel? That's the great thing about these races. Like we said, green flag stops and strategy can really, really change up this race.
Yeah, so I think this is the play right now. I mean, if these guys pit, they don't have a hand to play. The tank racing guys are just going to fly by and pull away for this win. So why not stay out there as long as you possibly can, hope to get lucky, and maybe get a caution at someone else's expense. Seeing two more drivers come down. That's Jordan Saylor's Mike Mosby on pit road. So now this is the lead pack, the second pack consisting of Aaron Gurwitz. They're just over 7 seconds off the lead here. You got a bunch of Phoenix Virtual Racing cars. You got Brad Herman there in the 85, not defending, but a former Truck Series champion, so another one of the champions here in the field here tonight in SRN. But these guys losing ground slowly, not really as tight as they need to be if they want to be making up ground, and that's something that we've seen here tonight. A lot of these guys might not be familiar with breaking the bubble.
That's very true, and a lot of these guys, this is race one, right? Yes, we had the duels, but keep in mind the duels were over 30 laps. You were out there fast, a lot of action, a lot of hard chargers. Some of these guys, may have seen guys make moves in duels that they weren't a big fan of, and was that just an effect of the short run for the duels, or is that their driving style, and now you're spending 80 laps, or the 60 of this 80 laps trying to figure that out, and nobody seems real comfortable right now around each other in the second group.
Yeah, they don't seem comfortable at all. But another thing I was just thinking in my head, what if these guys are saving all the way to the end? Maybe just running a little bit off the pace a little bit. Maybe they think they can stretch it. Always something to consider as well. Let's go ahead and check in on that next pack that's consisting of those tank racing drivers. They are just over 10 seconds off of that pack we just saw. So, I mean, they're making up ground quickly here. Look at how much tighter these 4 cars are, consisting of 3 tank cars and Ryan Johnson there in the 43.
And if you're looking at these times, you just brought up a great point. These guys are kind of keeping pace with Latham and the front pack. So we know these guys are running full throttle right now. They think they have fuel to the end. They're running full throttle. They're keeping about the same lap times as your leaders, but they're catching that middle pack. Are they catching that middle pack because the middle pack is the only one of the 3 that is in some sort of fuel save mode, or is it because they are not as organized? I wouldn't think these 4 cars should really be catching that pack as well as they are.
Yeah, well, they certainly are, and I would not want these 4 cars catching me, because they're going to go right on by with how well. I mean, look at Johnson right on the bumper of Berger. That's 3 cars pushing right there. Ardon Opton was just right along here and coast as the caboose. It's a little aggressive once you get 4 or more cars. You can really start to get that accordion effect, and you're not wanting to wreck anybody right now. And Ryan Johnson, they know that he's not their teammate, but they know his credits to his name so far, and made an impressive start, like I said, last season in his rookie campaign, coming away with 7, 8, 9 wins. I'm not even sure how many he ended up with, to be exact, but it was a lot. So they are including him in their party right now. They're tolerating.
It was a bunch, and if we learned anything about Ryan Johnson, we know he does not like second place. Took an aggressive move there in the playoffs that took him out of the championship 4. So we know when it comes down to it, even though he knows he's up against some teammates, he's going to do everything he can to put this JW 43 across the checkered flag first. Be interesting to see if he's going to be able to come up with something creative to get around 3 teammates.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe his made famous last year reverse Polish victory lap. I'm not even sure what we're calling that, but yeah, where he takes it around. This would be kind of a long track to do it at, but takes it around in reverse, kind of a throwback paint scheme to his racing days there in the 43s. So cool to see him up here competing with the best, and so far hanging in there. But the defending champ, Timothy Latham, brings him to the stripe to take 15 laps to go. We're quickly getting through this thing. 1 caution last season, only 1 so far tonight. Could have had 2, but only 1 to the history book so far.
This lead pack has slowed their pace. The second pack there, led by Gurwitz, was just 10 seconds back just a couple laps ago.
Yeah, I think that's
and you see that falling. Yeah, I think this lead pack now is in a save mode. So this is going to be real interesting to see who's going to make it to the finish and in what order, and is that last pack on the catch. There's a lot that can happen in this next 15 laps.
Yeah, I mean, you see a full-on hooked-up pack going about 198, maybe 199.
Yeah, these guys are in save mode, and I almost wonder, they're not really pushing each other very hard. It'll be interesting to see next time they come by there almost looked to be some gamesmanship as they were entering the pit road entrance. There was some bobbing and weaving, maybe some fake, am I going to go? Am I not going to go to try to top off it real quick? You got to figure at this point, it's just going to be a splash and go. And if you're in fuel safe mode, you're giving up that splash and go. If you're going to do the splash and go, you try to keep as far out of the front as you can and hope that splash and go is enough. But now Gerwitz under 8 seconds. These guys are definitely in some type of save mode. And then we do have someone.
He's down a few laps though, so I think he was having connection issues. So I'm not sure if he's just hanging it up or what, but he was not in this lead pack race.
So it's 13 to go. Who has enough fuel? And if you're Latham, you've been leading this pack for an awful long time. If the lead car is always burning more fuel now. We're assuming he's not under full throttle and he's not getting a lot of pressure to be under full throttle. But if you're that 79, Latham has been out in front for a while. Brian's going to try to save as long as he can. As soon as he thinks he can make it, he's going to start trying to force that 5 to burn up more fuel and then not be able to make it. He's just letting Latham lead here. He's content to let him lead, content to make him burn up his fuel, figuring if we're this close, I'll let him burn up his fuel first.
Yeah, and I'm happy that Timothy is taking all these notes out in front because he's going to be joining me on Thursday up here in the booth for that first Xfinity Series race of the year. Kind of doing a fun little twist and going to invite some Cup Series drivers to join me here this season. So definitely check that out, and hoping we'll have Sean Griffith in the booth for tomorrow night's race. If everything goes according to plan, he'll have the call with Brandon Domain. So at Daytona all week this week, and then the schedule gets kind of shifted up here, and it's a very unique schedule. The Cup Series is going to head out to Nashville Super Speedway next week.
A fast short track. That's going to be interesting to see these guys come off of super speed weeks with not only the duels, but also with Talladega and the official series. There's been a lot of super speedway racing this week.
Yeah, so you see that gap, that Gerwitz that we keep monitoring, kind of holding steady here. I'm wondering if they've gotten to that point to where they're comfortable. I don't think they're saving or as slow as they once were here. Kind of maintaining that gap here, and the same to be said between that second pack and the pack of tank racing cars that we saw come down pit road not too long ago.
Yeah, Gerwitz now falling again, 8, now almost 9 seconds. So either that second pack is slowing up more, or this pack thinks that they've saved enough. We've got pit stops.
They're coming down pit road. It just didn't work out. They were probably hoping for that caution. As you see Aaron Gerwitz get it woed up big time here coming on the pit lane, bringing down a lot of guys. So that's going to be helpful to them.
They should be able to hopefully get out here, get a big pack and go, but splash and goes. Who's going to get out of here first? How fast are these guys going to go? Did everybody have their tires checked off? And another big question is, if you aren't teammates, those teammates are talking to each other. Exactly how much fuel are they putting into their car? The other guys, don't know. So did somebody put in, a couple of gallons more and on pit road just a little bit longer? So those guys either thought they couldn't make it, or that these guys weren't going to make it, and they decided to come on down, or they knew they weren't going to catch them.
Yeah, I think these guys are going to go a lap down. Looking like they're going to get by all of them potentially here. But that's going to move that second pack of tank racing cars and Ryan Johnson as well up to 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th now. So they just have 5 guys left in front of them who last pitted on lap 46, and a few others. I mean, you got Kalal in that group too out in front who pitted on 45, and Zimmerman pitted on 44. So if they're tight on fuel, then they are very tight.
And that's the dangers of pitting, some 8-9 seconds back, because not only did they go a lap down, they didn't catch the back of this train to try to race themselves and get that lap back. We're in a situation now where if a caution comes out, we're trapping some 10, 12 cars. Keeley right now in the lucky dog position, he's gonna, have the chance to get his lap back. But all these other cars are going to be trapped a lap down. And then if you're in that line, how willing are you right now to stay in that line, knowing that if a caution comes out, you're going to be trapped a lap down, or is that group going to try to get racy for that lucky dog position?
Yeah, because the wave around is not an option with those tank guys making it to the end. You know they're not going to pit. They want that track position. So if there is a caution, which I just don't see happening here now with 7 laps to go, Latham still out in front. I mean, if you do get that caution, they are going to stay out. So it'll be interesting to see just how this unfolds. 7 laps to go. They are not committing to pitting just yet. Latham stretching this thing all the way out with his teammate Brian McAvoy just behind him. Scott Kalal running third, Devin Zimmerman in fourth, Joseph Causey rounding out the top 5. So this pack we're following here with the leaders has a few lapped cars in the mix as well, which if it gets to that point, I'm letting some of these guys go by, lead this pack, and really just let off the throttle a little bit.
Yeah, if your teammates up front here, you would think you maybe shuffle that lead yourselves a little bit, shuffle. If you got 2 cars, you feel like you'd be able to race yourself back up to the front of this pack, no problem. So if you're in a fuel save mode, you would think you'd be content to go ahead and let the, shuffle this line leaders a little bit. These guys obviously think that they're going to make it because they are pushing just as hard as that pack led by Causey in 5th.
And don't take your eyes off this man, Devin Zimmerman, who's running as an independent here tonight. Last season's Cup Series winner here at Daytona, running 4th. Like I said, last pitted lap 44, though, so he's stretching it out further than anybody here as you see them going by some lap cars. That's Corey Saucier up at the top, but he's got teammate help behind him, Ed Shearer, who I believe can make it to the end here on fuel as you see everybody come down pit road. So.
Oh, and that is 5-6 laps to go. So these guys are going to hit the pit line here 17 seconds ahead of the pack led by Causey. Can they get in? Can they get a splash and go and get back out in time to either be in the lead or at least be catching that group that's going to be coming around here real quick? I just don't see it happening. I think this is now back in the hands of Causey, Berger, Johnson, Ardon. These guys are going to be going hard at it for this last 5 laps.
I think if anything, they're racing that second pack out there, Latham and the rest of those guys. So we'll see if they can fend off Aaron Gerwitz and the rest of those guys that were kind of running a little bit further on back. But yeah, the battle out in front between 5 drivers, Causey, Berger, Ryan Johnson, Reese Schaefer, Emerson Ardon. Can't be a good feeling for Ryan Johnson right now.
No, it's not. But, there are some other lap cars here, some other cars not fighting for the win in this group. How are they going to shuffle it up? And with this field so spread out with several cars 35, 36 seconds back, are these guys going to, with 5 laps left, are they going to catch some lap traffic that would maybe give Ryan Johnson the opportunity to use lap traffic to his advantage? Because I just don't see him being able to do it on his own.
4 laps to go. The time is running out for these guys to get it done here. Causey wants to win it. Seth Berger wants to win it. Always interesting to see how teammates fight it out here at the end. Maybe Ryan Johnson lets them duke it out. It still comes out ahead. I don't know, but you're right. He does have a few JW cars in this pack that are a lap down. So we'll see exactly how it shakes out here. Looking like Lane Hostler coming down pit road. He is going to be well behind now, down to 21st. He's going to lose a few more positions. 3 laps to go, though.
And you see Berger really pushing Causey hard here, trying to get these 2 cars out front, knowing that Ryan Johnson does have at least a couple of teammates in the back of this pack. Can those teammates get up and give him any type of support and help to get around these teammates of Berger and Causey, who have just been out front and just putting on a show on how to perfectly execute bump drafts, pushing your teammate and pushing hard.
Yeah, we saw it work last season in the Cup Series. We're seeing it work again here tonight. It's just going to come down to which one wins it. I mean, Tank Racing going to come away with a banner day, especially, in this new format. Going up against Phoenix Virtual Racing here tonight, I believe they are going to take the W to go 1-0 in this team championship format to start it off. So not a bad way to kick it off, but 2 laps to go. They want to park that thing in victory lane. Who is it going to be, though?
And now you have at least one JW car, I believe, popping out to the outside line, trying to get up there to help Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson's going to come up to the outside, try to link up with that teammate, and that changes everything. Now you at least feel like you have a puncher's chance if Ryan Johnson can link up with the teammate. Because, you know, if you're Seth Berger right now, there's a hard push in the corner. Ryan Johnson able to save it. A heck of a save there coming out of 4.
That's dicey.
That's going to stall them up a bit. Now they've got to regroup. 3 JW cars now need to regroup quickly if they're going to try to push Ryan Johnson back up in front of these other tank cars.
Yeah, this is you're going to learn a lot about your teammates here early on, but the lead out to Causey with 1 lap to go here at Daytona. I don't think Ryan Johnson can have enough time, enough help to get up there as he takes another shot to the outside. He's going to need a big push.
He's going to get a big push. Big push is going to be one that causes a wreck or one that gets him up there. It's not going to get him up there. Now, Causey, Berger, Ardon, 3 teammates. And rule number 1, don't wreck your teammate. Rule number 2, see rule number 1. How hard are these guys going to race back to the checkered flag?
Coming off of turn number 4, they're seeing that checkered flag in the air. I think it's all Joseph Causey. He gets the win to kick off here in the Cup Series at Daytona.
What just a dominant week performance there by Tank. Like I said, the only team to have 5 drivers score in the duels. Get their teammates, I believe, 1, 2, 3 finish for those guys. Ryan Johnson fighting hard there, finish there for JW Racing. But what a statement the team runner-up last year put out here for race 1.
Yeah, I mean, Joseph Causey won his fair share of races in the Cup Series last year, so no stranger to the broadcast booth here at SRN and no stranger to victory lane. But that's got to be a good confidence booster after the season just did not go the way he wanted it to end last year. So excited to hear from him, but first, he's got some celebrating to do.
So let's see what kind of burnout. He's got a lot of practice out of it. We know that.
Absolutely. So he's going to go ahead, park that Toyota Camry here on the front stretch and let the fans hear it. Oh, he's stuck in that position where you can't get the rear tire on the ground here. It's going to slow him up here.
Gotta love that low. Gotta love that low splitter there on the next gen.
Yeah, they got to get that thing figured out, but still, it's a cool car to be racing here, and I know he's going to be excited to get this win off his back early on. And shoot, way to the top of the standings. I mean, Reese Schaefer came in at the top, but ran out of fuel there at the end of this race, comes home 20th after running here in the top 5 coming to the white flag.
And you saw those JW drivers trying their best to push Ryan Johnson. They had to push him hard. It just, got that line a little squirrely, and they weren't able to come back up. The front 3 did shuffle up a little bit to give Ryan a little bit of a run there late, but it was just too little too late.
Well, let's check out the standings here tonight. The top 20 finishing order, even though it still says 18. Have not figured out how to get that fixed, Nick. So Joseph Causey coming home in first, and just a banner day for Tank Racing. Seth Berger, Emerson Ardon rounding out the podium positions here. Ryan Johnson and Timothy Latham come home 4th and 5th.
And then you've got another Gear Up Motorsports finishing up the 5th. So we had 2. I see what you mean by that. That order there on the left really throws you off. We got, let's see, Brian McAvoy, Dalton Tucker, Scott Kalal, Brian Herman, and Scott Healy rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, and then our Phoenix Virtual Racing rookie Alonzo King brings it home 11th. Skip Gandy, another rookie, comes home 12th. Aaron Gerwitz comes home in 13th, followed by his teammate there, Brandon Domain, in 14th. And Byron McDonald comes home 15th. I'll finish off top 20 as well, since I have it right in front of me. Marty Phillips, 16th. Lucas Lyons, 17th. Devin Zimmerman falls all the way back to 18th position. Joseph DuPont comes home 19th. And I mentioned it a little while ago. Reese Schaefer rounds out your top 20 after running out of fuel there late in this one. So let's go ahead and get to the fun part of this race, and let's talk to some people. Let's Go ahead and bring Emerson Art on up here to the broadcast booth. Emerson, it's Grego Lennick and Nick Halda up here in the SRN broadcast booth. Our first interview of Season 4. You come home in third, man. Why did I not suspect anything different from Tank Racing? You guys are stinking up the show. A podium day for each one of you guys. I think it's safe to say you also got the win up against Phoenix Virtual Racing.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot I got an interview. I was so focused on getting the team, Seth and Kazi, to get to the at least to turn 4, and we went for it out of turn 4 to race. Whatever, Kazi still held on to it. But yeah, that was tough. It sucks. Reese had that blink out, and he got forced to drop back because he can't race if you're not there in the pack stably, and Ed got caught in an incident. But Seth, Kazi, and I, we tried our hardest to held that flag. We were in a little bit of a tough field situation when that caution came out. We knew with 65 to go, we had to save everything, and we did. But we stretched it out as long as we could that middle stint of the race, and we were just like, we might as well come. Well, we actually had to come because Kazi was low in fuel. And then after that, we're like, we're not going to make it to the end. We might as well come early, link up. Hopefully, we can catch the guys, and if not, hopefully we get a yellow. And luckily, we were able to. We were just able to keep pulling the gap. Like, I mean, that's nuts for Tank Racing to be in control of that lead pack and what's left of it, and have a near 18-second advantage. I think speaks volumes to the team.
And Emerson, talk about, like you said, you saw your teammates there in first and second. Ryan Johnson from J Racing, you were kind of swapping with you there for third and fourth, but you're sitting there with a non-team driver splitting you guys. But it's got to be a good feeling. It's a bad feeling for Ryan Johnson, but a good feeling for you because if he's going to try to make a move, he knows where you're going. So you're just waiting for him to try to make a move.
Well, certainly. Actually, we weren't even sure. He wasn't initially going to have help because it was just us, Kazi, Seth, Reese. I'm sorry, Kazi, Seth, and I. And then Reese was low on fuel, so we had to pick up Reese, try to help save him some fuel. He ended up running out. And Ryan. But then we started catching lap cars. We started realizing what kind of cars we were catching, and it was ended up going to be cars that were going to help him out. And we're like, oh, well, we better start linking up. We better, plan for this. The last lap was wild, especially because it caught us off guard for the most part. But yeah, we were all going to be committed to that bottom and try to, keep pushing that line forward. And whatever happened on the outside would happen.
Well, Emerson, before we let you go, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
I'm going to be real. I wasn't even prepared, but I do know we have to, of course, give a huge shout out to Healthcare Billing Incorporated, who does so much for Tank Racing. They paid all of our down payment deposits for the season. So huge shout out to them. Honey Press, which is Devin's wife's craft company. 213 Simware, which is where our merch is going to be this year. So many more. Berg Arts, of course, it's Seth Berger's custom clothing brand. More teams on Common Sense Supplements, GameStop, Pit Stop TV, RJ Bishop Designs my teammates' cars and the alternate team I'm going to be running this season. I painted this one for today, but the pink car I'll be running this season was made by RJ. Huge shout out to again Berg Arts and Invaders and Designs, Whiplash Media, and Joshua Balliet for being my spotter on 10-4 day. It was a big old 10-4 to have Joshua Balliet in my ear all night long, keeping me alive and alert the entire race, and all my teammates. I love getting the race with all my Tank Racing teammates every single Tuesday, and it's a big family. So a huge shout out to all my Tank Racing teammates, and a huge shout out to the ones I'm going to meet this weekend in Charlotte.
Yeah, well, hey, get up with me. I will be there at the Roval all weekend.
I'll be sure to text you.
Yeah, so don't leave me out. I know I'm not one of your Tank Racing teammates here, but I'd love
we
to
love
meet
you.
you guys.
You're an SRN teammate. Whenever
you got to be nice. You got to be nice to the broadcast guy.
Absolutely, we love you, man.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on the third place finish here tonight.
Appreciate
I'll send you
your work
back.
as always.
Hey, thank you. I'll send you back down to your teammates, and I'll bring up the next one, man. Have a good night.
Sir, thank you.
All right. So that was Emerson Ardon. Expecting a text from him this weekend. So let's bring up Seth Berger now out of the 77 camp. Seth, no stranger up here to the SRN broadcast booth. Congrats on the runner-up here tonight. Great run for your tank racing teammates as well. How's it feel to kick off the season here? Picking up right where you left off.
It feels great. It hurts a little bit to be the second place again, but it's a lot better than finishing last at Daytona, so I'll take it. And it's just great teamwork by Tank. I mean, every time we show up to a plate track, we work together great.
Yeah, you talk about the great teammate. We were just talking there with Emerson. He was talking about that pit stop. When you guys realized, no, we're not going to make it, we might as well go now. Curious, did you guys? I'm assuming you guys didn't call out that you were going, because it was almost a great strategic team move, because you were able to surprise at least one of those other two non-tank guys there in your pack and kind of leave him out to dry. That was a pretty strong strategy call there, and definitely caught at least one of the other two guys off guard.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we decided to pit on like that backstretch, like going into turn 3. I think we decided, so that was extremely last minute. We wanted to try to get to ourselves once we knew that we were going to run out of fuel there. So, yeah, that was definitely huge. I think it's a huge accomplishment to finish 17 seconds ahead of 5th place.
Yeah, you guys really killed it out there. And like I said, it's not surprising to me one bit after seeing how you guys did last season. Just a little bit of a different finishing order. But like I said, Emerson, you're going to kick off that team championship standings with a 1-0 start to that team matchup standing format. So congratulations there. But before we let you go, Seth, I know you got a bunch of fans and family in the chat. You got any other sponsors or friends you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to Flood Brothers and Bill Flood, sorry. Thank you for the sponsorship again this year. Got the breast cancer awareness paint scheme for this month. Shout out Berg Arts. The giveaway is live right now. The giveaway will be in about a week. Entries will close. Anyone who is watching, if you private message me code word BergArts_77, that will count as an entry. So make sure you get to Berg Arts, check out everything. Shout out to Hunterdon Anesthesia, Honey Press, W 213 somewhere, and all of Burger Nation for watching, and thank you guys for broadcasting.
Yeah, man. Love doing it, and happy to see you picking up, like I said, right where you left off, and giving you a little bit of a shout out too with your Berg Arts apparel on and your little picture down there. So looking good, man. Looking forward to seeing what you do for the rest of the season, and best of luck next week out in Nashville.
All right, thank you.
All right, so that was the runner-up of tonight's race. But let's go ahead and move on to the butt kicker victory lane here and bring up Joseph Causey. Joseph! And
man,
you're back in victory lane, man, right where you belong as always. Good to see you. Tell me about that race here.
man, we were hauling. That's all I can say. Thought we messed up at first because we were going and we didn't think about it, and we were thinking, at the last minute we thought, oh man, we should have started saving fuel, and then we were like, well, that ain't gonna work now. We're gonna have to pit twice. So we pit the first time, we get 4 tires, we get full service, and then we're like, the only other thing I could think of, we were telling all our guys what we were doing, was if we got to come in early and try to, get back out there. Don't slide tires, fuel, gas and go. And then, we're pretty much back 4 tires and full fuel. So we got back out there and we were just hauling, and we were putting laps down. Man, it was awesome.
You guys are definitely pushing hard. The butt kicker was the hard charger sponsor, and now here in Victory Lane, I think it goes to the hard worker of the race, because you were really, really putting in work there, pushing Seth Berger, and it was really impressive to see you guys, even early on when we were 2x2 and some heavy pack racing, you guys were able to really push yourselves out in front and break away. And talk a little bit about, what it's like being able to push a teammate and being that physical around this racetrack. We saw around the racetrack it not go so smooth for a lot of other drivers.
We know how to push each other very well. Like, all of our guys usually know how to push each other. Seth was actually a little bit hesitant. He's probably got the less amount of pushing than anybody else, but man, he did a great job. I cannot say no more about him than what he was able to do when he was pushing me. Like, that's all you can ever ask for, and he pushed me all the way there to the end. They tried to have a little look there at the end to battle out for it, but I had enough run at the end to secure the position, and man, that was just wonderful to track those guys down and thinking that, at first we were thinking, oh man, they're gonna save enough fuel, we ain't gonna get to them, and then we got there, they all had a pit, and then we were like, man, we're scotch free now.
Yeah, I think they were kind of looking at the times. We were kind of tracking it. You guys would catch them, then they'd slow up, and I think they were caught in a no man's land of do we save, do we not? And you guys making that early pit stall, that kind of surprise dive down, which was, I thought, great teamwork. I mentioned that to your other teammates, where you had two non-tank drivers there in your pack, and you were able to lose one of them kind of by that quick duck down. And Ryan Johnson did a heck of a job blowing his car down and being able to duck down and at least stay with you guys.
I was thinking, man, because we didn't tell nobody we were pitting in when we made that decision to pit in. It was I made the call. I was like, we got to pit in early. We got to do it. That was the only way we're going to make it, and it worked out great. I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
See, Greg, like I said, the hard work of the night right there did by far the hardest pushing, the most pushing, and made the race winning call there for his team tonight.
Yeah, he knows how to get it done, man. He won a bunch of races this last season, and looking like he's already off to a good start here tonight. So Joseph, we'll see you next week out in Nashville. But before we let you go, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
Got to thank Honey Press for coming on, sponsoring me for the season. I'm just so happy about that. Freaking got Healthcare Billing Inc. You got man, I had 213 Swimwear. I don't have my card ready, so I'm a little off track here.
What do you mean you didn't have your card ready? Come on, you guys did this last season at Daytona.
I was a little not prepared.
Well, it's all.
But man, thanks to all my teammates, man. That I would have never been able to do it without them. Great pushing and freaking great calls on top of the pit box, and thank the broadcast. Definitely gonna have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, you always do, man, and I appreciate that. Definitely give it a look, because I think you're gonna like the way it ends. So. Yeah, enjoy it and have fun celebrating with the team. I know you guys usually have a little party in there after the race. I don't want to hold you up much longer here, but yeah, well deserved, man, and enjoy it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, so we'll get you sent back down there to your Tank Racing teammates, and we'll wrap it up here tonight. Nick, that's going to do it for us. A good way to kick off this Cup Series season. 38 drivers out there tonight, only one caution. But man, there was a little dust up that really separated this field and put Tank Racing at the top of this.
Hey, we had a lot of drama there from lap 20 to go all the way down, trying to figure out what's going to happen. And well, what happens was what we thought might happen in the beginning of this thing. Tank Racing really showed up this week.
Yeah, so like I said, it is going to be an all Daytona week here on SRN. Going to be right back here tomorrow with the SRN Truck Series. We're going to have, I believe, 60 laps here for the Truck Series, 70 laps on Thursday, Nick, where you'll be participating in the Xfinity Series. Are you excited? What's your thoughts on super speedway racing?
It's going to be different. It's moving from the trucks to the Xfinity. Definitely a different car. Handles a little bit different. And kind of back in the same position I was last year, trying to shorten that learning curve as fast as I can.
Well, you'll do just fine, and I'll be looking forward to calling that race here once we get there and wrap up this first week of action. So I thank each and every one of you. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you just share the stream. It goes a long way for us here. Had a ton of viewers out there for the race here for the Daytona 200 to kick off Season 4. Definitely come on back here tomorrow night, same time, same place. So that's going to do it. Good night, and go faster.